Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile. We're playing in the Vault of Oriath, Harbinger League, and we are on our way to the end boss of Act 7, Arakaali. She's gonna be up on the island over there. Shh. Ooh, Orbu. Chaos Orbu. Lovely. That is definitely lovely. So, prophecies, they keep triggering from time to time. This playthrough I am trying to at least think of just spending all of my coins and getting more prophecies. One of the nice things, of course, of the removal of the difficulties is that your prophecies are no longer difficulty bound. They are now gonna work everywhere. Which is also why the mobs spawned by prophecies will be your level rather than area level. So if you're slightly overleveled for an area, if monsters spawn as a result of the prophecies, then they will be more powerful, maybe even significantly more powerful than the monsters in your general vicinity. Ooh, and there's another coin. Lovely. Yeah, the prophecies, they do give you extra currency from time to time. That is definitely an improvement. So last time we were here, we went into the side area, faced Grove Cool. Got mauled a bit by the bear before we finally defeated her. Increased rarity, that's lovely. So this episode we're pushing forward. Oi, there's one coward in the back there. Yeah, got him. Nearly full. So what I remember from the previous playthrough is in this area, Northern Forest, the fireflies. We have to hand them off somewhere on the left-hand side of the path. So, we just found it. The Asmeri Shrine. So, here goes fireflies. Oh no, not fireflies, sorry, it's a Groost necklace. That's the this one with the teeth. Visually looks very much like a firefly, similar colors and things like that. That spawns some angry skeletons, and that's kind of it. This is very much a filler quest. If it hadn't been there, then I don't think anyone would have missed it. Because you already get a Grove in the side area. You get the hunt for the fireflies in the side area. Oh, hello there, Tunnel 1. Oh, and we're full. And then, of course, the next area is gonna be the causeway. So doing pretty good.
I feel I have failed my poor Groost, not being able to return his bones to the resting place of his people. Still, we have done all we could, considering the circumstances. Groost was a practical man at heart. He would understand. You deserve our thanks. Here are some of Groost's most treasured possessions. I'm sure he would have wanted you to have one.
All of that for bringing a necklace there? Sure, I'm not gonna object. So, dex and strength are the things that we care most about, because they're the most difficult to obtain. So, let's have a quick look. Ooh, Cabala's Regalia, decent chunk of life, poor amount of lightning resist, and the other mods are just meh. Helm, that's completely the wrong kind of stats, and there's no minion levels on there. Wrong types. Ah yeah, the amulet. Tool resists percentage increase to energy shield. It's only one dead mod, and that's the damage. Compared to what we currently have, we'll gain more cold res, and we lose a little bit of the spell damage and lose some of the life, but that is crafted on top. So I think this might actually be a pretty worthy upgrade. So let's see if we drop it in. And we instantly have an issue and we need 12 more decks. I was kind of afraid of that. other hand, how is this for our energy shields? It's difficult to compare because losing the items means our stats drop. If we go to the hideout and we craft some decks on top, because we can do that. Like that. Let's see, it's 21 to 25 dex. All attributes is going to be 6 to 11. Well, dex is the difficult one, so put that one on. Ooh, 25. That's a winner. Let's actually recast some of our things. So 1426 energy shield. Discipline keeps falling off. So 1426 I said, and that's 41 extra. So we gain a little bit, we lose a little. But the interesting bit here is that our resistances are at least now overcapped for cold as well as lightning, and that fire got bumped a little bit.
Another day in damnation.
So for now I think we'll actually just go with it. And reactivate all the things we lost. Also means we gained some extra strength. So we can once again boost some of the skills we have. And then in town to the portal and then move forward. Okay, so it's a little side quest, not really meaningful as I mentioned, but it is a nice touch from just a lore point of view, just tying it up and honoring Groost one final time. But, yeah. I don't think we did a similar thing for Nessa back in X6, so yeah. So once again we head to the top side of the map to leave it. But this time we don't go behind the waterfall. Instead we cross the bridge. Into the causeway. So, nice amount of artillery there. So more or less a straight area. You can just walk one side to the other. Of course, a lot of artillery makes it more difficult to cross, but in this case now we have a screen of minions. They will catch quite a lot of the bullets if we let them. Of course, if I'm leading the pack, then I'll be the one tanking the bullets. But when I try not to do that too much, there's always the option of just having the minions go first. It's easier when we see the next pack, then they will just stumble there. So now we got a decent chunk of life and energy shields. If we sum it up, 300 life, and of course we do have our unreserved mana that helps us mind over matter some of our life damage. That's another good 700 or so points. So technically, no, a one shot of over 4,000 points is, or just 4,000 plus points is what would be needed to take us out. So for this point in the game, I guess that is relatively sturdy. I mean, this is the end of Act 7. I'm level 58, so this is comparable to previously the end of Cruel. That's also, you know, a late 50s, around 60. Just 4,000 hit points for Cruel was good. That's mostly what I aim for in Merciless. So, got ourselves a waypoint. Oh wait, there's a lore book here. I'm completely spacing through the lore. That's probably not something I should do. So let's have a look. Shrine to Arakaali. As our queen's body was reborn, so too was her mind. Awash with visions of future and past, she burst from the deluge, gasping with terror. She had seen her empire in ruins, her people ground into the dust, and atop her throne sat the children of Grufkul, their long white hair fluttering in the winds of victory, their laughter as saw blades in Arakaali's heart. Yet as the vision poisoned her dreams, Arakaali poisoned the vision. Once, twice, thrice the children of Grufkul fell, crying their crimson tears, and how their mother grieved. Signed again by the widow. So yeah, not the most pleasant of people, Arakaali. And again, I guess if you end up as a spider queen, you know, that's I don't think that there's a lot of good ways that lead there. That's just can't. No, seeing like a saint, no, like a living Mother Teresa or something, turning into a spider queen. That just does not seem to match up. Spiders don't really have that good a reputation. All you need is just a couple skeletons to tank them there. The projectiles are not piercing. Those are some pretty big Val dudes. Necromancer circlet? Sure, I'll take that. And there we go. Some snakes on the other side. Let's just blow them up. I'm currently not sure if there's an optimal way through here, or there's one specific site that you should stick to for like a special thing. As far as I know, this is just there are just multiple branching paths, but if you keep going to the top right, you will eventually end up where you need to be. Did see a yellow there, so of course the yellow one must die. And there we are. The yellow one is dead. There's still some fighting. Ah, over there. And there is a quest up ahead. That's probably the Causeway, Kishara's Star. Freezing Shrine, so let's just become freeze immune before we grab it. That way you don't get chilled on your way in. It's kind of annoying being chilled on the way in. Some of these spike traps from the sides are of course a little reminiscent of some of the trials for the labyrinth. Ooh, another amethyst flask. I did find one, but I haven't actually slotted it. Might be useful for the final fight with Arakaali to actually swap over to a amethyst flask if I think about it. And here is Kishara's lockbox. And we got Kishara's star. To the wily Kishara's eye, a star brighter than the sun. So, Whalem wants this. Might as well hand it back. Whalem.
So, this is Kishara's famed star. Ah, just as I reckoned. It won't point me in any one direction. It can't make up its mind. I suspect due to me not being able to make up mine. I feel a tremor of prophecy coming over me, like some scallywags just stomped over my grave. If I go see Lily, there's to be only disappointment and sorrow. And if that's what the future has in store, then it can keep it. I wish a long and vibrant life for the girlie. one free of the trouble that an old dead buccaneer like I might bring upon her.
And that gets us a skill point. So that gets us over here. Might as well complete the circle. Get some extra attack speed. And if we ever were to equip specters, we get an extra specter. And they would benefit from the cast speed.
Greetings.
Let's see, let's just once again empty pockets. Don't care, don't care. Want to keep that. Bit of life, double resists. Implicit is just rubbish. Compared with what I currently got, the lightning is actually the strongest trait. And of course, the strength is useful. So, nope, I don't want it. Oh, wait, we got 2 coins now. Might as well have a look at that. And I mentioned amethyst flasks. Let's go for that one. They're gonna be pretty useful. Glass bubble. Nah, I wanna use that one for a silver flask if and when we ever find one. So currently we don't really get anything all that great from this except for duration. Probably because I rolled it early on, where we didn't really have all that many great amounts of currency. The increased duration though could be better. But this effect is rubbish, so let's just spend a couple more currencies to do something with it. And with the poison, that is fitting for an amethyst. And increased duration, I think I like this. So I just hot swap that one out, put this one over in the box. So at least we have something to amp up our chaos resistance when we need it. And to cleanse ourselves of poison. Because that is the one thing we didn't really have. And if you're gonna go fight with a spider, having a little bit of chaos resistance might not be a bad idea. Okay, and this is the Vaal city, which looks and feels quite a bit like the map with the same name. I'm more and more getting convinced that a lot of the maps were actually built with this in mind. So I read somewhere or heard somewhere that they've been working on the expansion since 2015. Basically, the moment they stopped with the 2.0 expansion, they started on this one. Or at least parts of this. So all of the content we've been getting in the last couple of years, and especially the Atlas of Worlds update that added a boatload of new maps to the game. A lot of the content might simply have been just previews of some areas that were done already. So no, they didn't have to really answer the question of what are they gonna do with the endgame for the expansion. Well, they don't really have to do anything with the endgame if they already added updates to the endgame before the expansion itself. Hey, another shrine to Arakaali. Let's just put some skellies all over the place. Like that. Lovely. Ooh, Valor. That's appropriate in the Vaal city. And that's safe enough. Our great goddess, we worship her. And in so doing, we may become her. Healer of hearts, Arakaali. With the juices of lust and venoms of the spider, she brought many back from the brink of death. Only she was worthy to rule. The porcelain queen, gruff call, disgraced my ancestors, drained them with drought, starved them with famine, blighted them with plague. It was with justice and truth that my ancestors shattered the porcelain queen's reign and brought our messiah to power, the widow. So it's almost like that's just a fan letter to Arakaali. Serving as a little bit of exposition of the story here, but Grufkul is not just some random bear side god thing. It's actually someone who plays part in the story. Though funny enough, they only seem to tell most of this story through shrines, instead of having something that is properly voice acted. Which is too bad, since it is easy to miss the shrines, or easy to ignore the shrines. But sure. Anyway, we have found a hyena in front of a temple that seems to be closed off by spiders. And of course, we're not gonna clear those spider webs ourselves. Nope, we have a hyena for that. So, let's have a chat.
Fireflies, so bright and juicy with flame. Now for the rite. I warn you. Stand back and be not afraid of what you see. And be not afraid for me. The spirit guides and protects. Though I may change, I shall still be, will always be, Yena.
So that doesn't look good. And she became a fiery fox. And into the Temple of Decay we go. Temple of Decay is the final area of Act 5. No, 7. Did I say 5? I meant 7. Final level, level 54. It's got a level 1 and a level 2. But similar to the pyramids, it does have multiple internal layers with internal staircases. Level 2 is level 55, level 1 is level 54. Meaning that if you want to properly prepare for this or grind up a little bit, the highest area level in Act 7 is level 2 of the Temple of Decay, which you can't waypoint to. You need to walk through the Temple of Decay 1. So it's what I noticed in the early on in the beta when Act 8 wasn't part of the game yet, and you needed to level from level 58 to 68 in order to get to maps. There was a 10 level jump. Grinding the later parts of Act 7, you don't really have a lot of choice. But the Cruel Labyrinth is also level 55. And we have unlocked all the pieces for that. So after we are done here, Cruel Labyrinth is gonna be next up on the menu before we properly start on Act 8. Now, because of the level similarity, and if you're over leveled a little bit, you might want to consider doing the Cruel Lab first, especially if you're gonna get something really nice from the Cruel Lab for your character. But if the upgrade is gonna be nice but not build changing, then you might as well push it until after the fight. Doesn't really matter. So this shrine actually resembles a little bit of a spider. From oh, look at this, like the back of the body and then a little bit of the legs. Of course, there's no 8 legs, but it's a slightly spidery. Interesting visual thing. Our Temple of Decay was built so that we, her chosen, might sustain our great goddess in her pursuit of the secrets that lust and life would keep from us. We, her followers, brought all assortments of venomous creatures and laid them at her feet. Yet it was the spider she most coveted. And as the divine energies wove their destinies about her body, our queen, Arakaali, was reborn. Arakaali the miracle, Arakaali the mighty arachnophage, a beauteous creature of immortal power and unfathomable wisdom. Again, the widow. So yeah, I think someone's got a little bit of a crush on Arakaali. Definitely a high degree of fanboy or fangirlism going on there. Fangirlism, of course, it's signed by the widow. So having run around in the Temple of Decay quite a bit just for some farming purposes, especially early on in the beta, but again later in the beta, my second character farmed this area as well. Ooh, a catalyst. Most of the time the areas you're just gonna not treat it as the labyrinth. Just start on the one end and just keep going and mostly just pushing towards the one side, and then you're gonna find a staircase. And then from there again, there's going to be one direction that you usually can just go further in, and just keep going. And especially once you start seeing some bridges over big depths, and that's usually a pretty good indication that that is the way to go. Hello, spiders. Of course, first you do have to find the direction you're gonna go in. Definitely enjoying the large area that we cover with our Dark Pact. But right now, Dark Pact, it is still powerful enough that I really don't feel a strong compelling need to increase its power. And of course, doing more damage is always nice, but in this case, we don't need to do more damage, so the utility is actually pretty nice of just having a large area, of having some life leech. Though you could argue about the purpose of the life leech here. Oh, Blight Blade is guaranteed unique, always on this bridge thing over the gap. But of course, we surround them, we murder them, it's all good. So, did we kill everything up until this point? That's gonna be nice to double check. Yeah, we killed them. Good, good. So that's gonna be it for this act in terms of uniques. We're going in parallel to the other map. Sort of, kinda, roughly. Not quite. Yes, I know, that's pretty vague. So one of the things I was thinking about when I was doing my warm-up, I was just running the masters a little bit, is... Well, it kind of connects with the point I was making earlier about the added utility versus damage on the Dark Pact. I've been running around with Wither on the Totem ever since I got it. And you could almost say I've had a small obsession with Wither. Even though, strictly speaking, we really don't need it. Because again, we're doing fine in terms of damage. And Wither is mostly useful in boss fights. And, no, don't get me wrong. With fast casting and, well, cast 5 Withers per second, it lasts for long enough. Let's go with long enough. We should be able to get somewhere between 15 and 20 stacks of Wither on enemies. So that is going to be a lot of damage that we can add. Somewhere between 70 and to 100%. Eventually it's going to be 140% extra damage that the enemy receives from chaos, that is. So that's quite a damage multiplier. Let me teleport over. Nope. So we need to be on the other side. But if we're not really using it, and most importantly, if we don't really need it, then of course having a 4-link over here, we could replace that. And one of the things that could be useful, and that some people have also just mentioned, is that skeletons on the totem is actually not a bad thing. It means you don't have to effectively channel them. You lose the freedom of casting them, but you lose the freedom of positioning. But you gain the utility of not having to chain them. So all you have to do is just run around and cast your Dark Pact. But if you put the skeletons on a totem, you lose the Wither, or you can put it on weapon switch or something. But it is a change for the gameplay, because there's only one thing to focus on. It's going to be, you give yourself a little bit more opportunity to move around rather than standing still all the time, either putting down skeletons or casting Dark Pact, because all you're doing is casting Dark Pact. So in terms of safety, that might also be an added thing. And just while doing the warm-up, I realized, like, wait, I'm focusing on Wither, but it's not strictly necessary yet. So maybe we can do some experimenting with that. Of course, we're now in the episode, we're gonna go after a major egg boss. Maybe not the best time and place to be experimenting with with some of the core skills, and Wither against an egg boss might actually be useful, because now they actually have health, so it takes a while to murder them. Let's see. And everything else is just strength based, so not useful. Or at least not usable. That's maybe a technically slightly better word to use. Okay, we did gain a skill point. So we completed Death Attunement, we've got Unnatural Calm already. So the next thing to go for, probably going to be the Scion area. We got Potency of Will, we got some Shaper, we got Grave Pact, of course, because there's an extra minion. And there's going to be a jewel along the way. That a jewel, which in fact is... already got it already, might as well just keep it. 11% increased minion life. That's minion life outside of the skill tree. There's a couple of places where you can find it, but it's relatively finite amount of sources. So getting it on a jewel is actually pretty darn nice. And another shrine to Arakaali. So let's have a look. Even as our courageous Arakaali forged the foundations of a new empire within the ruination of the old, a fresh threat was born in the shadow of the mountain. A creature so devoid of divinity, so beyond humanity, that it drew the very essence from Arakaali, as the spider imbibes the life of the trapped moth. Our queen's medicines had once sustained us. Now famine and plague ravaged what little remained of our lands. As the beast of the mountains grew, our Arakaali waned until, helpless as a child, she lost even the faith of her most devoted, the Temple of Decay. I feel the shame for my ancestors as the spider's venom burns in my belly. When our queen needed them most, her people betrayed her, bound her in silk and left her to languish in the bowels of a pyramid, just as Arakaali had done to Grofkul so many years before. Now she has returned, but it is not vengeance she wants. She is no mindless Grofkul. Arakaali, goddess of love, wishes only to embrace the world as she wishes she had been embraced. The widow. Aww. All she wants is to hug everyone. Puppies, kittens and unicorns, that's what Arakaali is all about. So maybe with slightly less puppies, kittens and rainbows. Though on the upside, spiders can be fluffy. Oh, do I spot a songbox there? Yeah. Let's see if I can get to it. Oh, that was a misclick and it froze me. That was lovely. It was my intention to actually walk out a little bit more. Upside, we did get some things. Mirrors. I don't like mirrors. Might have mentioned that before. Maybe once or twice. Mirrored items are useful if you got like a decent rare. Okay, a decent rare ring. Then if you get a mirror, then you can just equip 2 of them. That is useful. For map drops it's not bad. Because you can always run a map. Even if you can't modify it anymore. But yeah, that was gear. What are you gonna do with 2 helmets? Especially 2 of the same. It's not until you get 3 copies, I think, that you can trade them in for an Orb of Alchemy. Though I think 2 copies of the same, exact same rare give you Orb of Chance, doesn't it? Okay. I think selling them might actually yield me a Orb of Chance then. Okay, this is level 2 already. I'm just kind of autopiloting through this area. That's it's relatively hands-off. This is definitely a different experience than when I played this with my Shadow. Shadow, of course, is much more hands-on. You don't really have the benefit of lots and lots of decoys. So you really do have to just take care of everything yourself. But here, no, the minions are tanking. We have some decent layered defenses in place. So autopiloting is something that unfortunately I start doing just automatically. So we started there, then we probably have to head more or less to the bottom here. Okay, just some convoke to get the skeletons to me, or to get the zombies to me. Flicker striking spiders. Good thing is there's lots of targets for them to flicker strike, so they won't all go after me. Superior colossal hybrids. Yeah, hybrid flasks. Biggest problem of hybrid flasks is that you only get 2 sips rather than 3. Upside, of course, is that you do get both life and mana from them. And I suppose maybe in a mind over matter build that might even be an advantage. But it's getting 2 sips instead of 3 just makes it more awkward. It's much easier to just run out of sips. Hello, Catalyst. I think that is 2 out of 3. So 1 more and we get ourselves a Vanguard. I think this is yet another doorway down. And the final level is much shorter. Luckily, there are plenty of things around here to murder. This room, I think they had like 3 different rares. Very good, very good. More stairs. Oh, is that a Harbinger spot from on the right hand side? I think it is. As I said, I could almost forget that it is a Harbinger League sometimes. Because this is the very first we've seen today. This is the very first I remember seeing today. I might have just completely glanced over one. Lovely. So I took some effort to color the shards a little bit. So of Alchemy, Chaos, they're decent. Binding, Engineer, Harbinger, they're all unique. Alteration shards, Transmutation shards, they're less exciting. So I'm recording this on Tuesday. Last week they announced they were going to do something with the Harbinger League. It's Tuesday, I haven't seen anything yet, but of course the New Zealand days are 10 hours or so ahead of me. So most of the time if something gets announced, it's probably going to be during the night. So eagerly waiting what they're going to do. But for now we have reached Arakaali's web. Might as well get it down, empty your pockets, all that stuff. And then let's have a face off against the goddess of spiders, the Spider Queen. Yeah, so selling 2 rare items that have the same name gives you an Orb of Chance. If you get 3, it's an Orb of Alchemy. And that is one of the crafting recipes that you even need to do for a achievement. But of course it's to basically show you what you could do and to teach you some of the recipes that are in the game. Okay, so just all the stuff. We'll keep the flask, and indeed that is one. I think I still need to make a Val Orb, and that is it. Let's see, Engineer's Orb. Cool. And just put these away, put that away. And then let's go Spider Queen hunting. Current state is 5% chaos resistance, 76 lightning. Some of her, the lightning cannon things, they're purple. I was initially assuming they're all chaos. I understand they're partially lightning, so getting good lightning resist here is probably going to be useful as well. We do have an amethyst flask that gives us another 35% chaos resist, so as long as it's up for the 4.7 that it is, we're going to be at 40% chaos resistance. So in case of panic, hit the purple flask and life might be slightly better. But for now, let's face off against the spider.
My bride has arrived, Exile. I hope you brought a wedding gift.
No, that's not a way to greet your guests. Okay, so Arakaali. The beams, they warm up and then they shoot. They're pretty straightforward. Just don't be in them. Totem placement along the edges is tricky. If you have some sort of melee, actually they seem to, yeah. If you are casting against the edges, it's difficult. Sometimes you really need to just cast away from the sides. And yes, he's got some gnarly tricks up her sleeve. I mean, if you're close to her, she performs more melee attacks. If you're further away, then you get more things like that. But in this case, my minions are actually doing so much damage that she is nearly dead. Exactly like that. Okay. So Silk got eaten. He's not going to be the winner of this fight. But Arakaali was much easier than I'd expected. With my Slayer and my Shadow, this was a much more difficult fight. So either they turn her down, or the army of minions is truly an asset in this fight. Anyway, Sin is here, so let's say hello.
Many an artist of Esmerian descent has engaged in the sad worship of that sultry arachnid. But you looked in those hypnotic eyes and then ripped them out. She lies in her bed of sordid memory, alone. A little of the spider yet creeps and crawls in my palm. A touch more power for my subduer of gods?
Ah yes, she's a major god, so we get a new power. So, Soul of Arakaali, 5% reduced damage taken from damage over time. 10% chance to avoid lightning damage when hit. Okay. And then we can upgrade it with the Herald of Thunder. 50% increased recovery of life and energy shield if you've stopped taking damage over time recently. That reminds me a little bit of a trickster power that I think is similar. Capture shock and horror. 30% reduced effect of shock and shock duration on you. And capture Shadow of the Vaal. 25% chaos resistance. against damage over time. So that would be poison, that would be essence drain. There's some rogue exiles that use essence drain. So potentially useful. Currently we got Soul of the Brine King. You cannot be stunned if you've been stunned or blocked a stunning hit in the past 2 seconds. Really, meh. But yeah, I'm not gonna grumble and gripe over the Pantheon system because. But now we have reached the Sarn ramparts, and let's walk to town so we can end it there. And then next episode we can do the labyrinth, and after that we can do a lore episode, and then we can actually start playing through Act 8, Sarn ramparts. So this is basically pretty much inspired by the maps. The ramparts map or ramparts map was inspired by this again. Not entirely sure what's cause and effect, but I have no doubt that there's at least some sort of relation between them. This one doesn't have spell damage on it, so I don't want it. So just gonna follow the road until in the end there's gonna be a ladder that leads up on the ramp. It's a 55 area, I'm level 59 by now. We just defeated a major god. I think we're doing alright. Oh, hello there. Blade Storm? Rainy Blades? Something along those lines. I think it was Blade Storm. Blade Fall. Blade Fall. Yes, yes, that is the word. Blade something. More life leech, more duration for our wither, or for whatever we're gonna summon with it. Well, yeah, it's also just something once we start playing in Act 8, I'll do some creative gem switching and we'll just try a couple of things. For now though, climb up the stairs and then walk our way backwards. Hello Spideys. And we get ourselves a 6-socketed item. Lovely. Six-socketed items can of course be sold for jeweler's orbs. And I think they are 2 blue. That means a Harbinger is near. Our Stormcore markers, they are fancy Stormcore markers. The AoE build like this is relatively easy to deal with the Harbingers. Let's see, we get some engineering shards, we get some horizon shards. Harbinger, ancient. Okay. Slowly building up a small stockpile of shards. Yeah, some of these shards I don't think start dropping until level, I think 50 or 54. That's I think especially the things like the horizon shards and ancient shards, because their effects are going to be map related. One of them rerolls the map as... Well, it is a Harbinger shard, you got a Horizon shard and you got an Ancient shard. And I think one of them rerolls a unique item into something of the same base class. So reroll a sword into a sword. Just a generic sword into a generic sword. So it's more difficult to pinpoint. And that's another Harbinger over there. Lovely. One of them rerolls a map into another map of the same tier, and there is one that can upgrade a map to the next tier. So it makes sense that they won't start dropping until later on in the game. Okay, and having reached the end, we can go down the staircase and walk into town, into Sarn. So the approach to Sarn, finally less tedious than it was before. But things are looking a little greener, a little less healthy. And next episode, actually no, next episode is going to be Labyrinth. So the episode after that is when we're going to have a chat with everybody and find out what's up with all this green stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.